in a world filled with noise and hurry, deadlines and bright screens, footsteps echoing on hard floors. There are still places that exist only in whispers, stories told in soft voices, near firelight or under stars, when the world slows down. Whispers of creatures born not from logic, but from longing, from dreams that remember the ancient, the unseen, the almost forgotten. Tonight, you will wander beyond the map, beyond the cities and the clock hands, cross glowing deserts, through quiet oceans, under trees that speak only in wind. And there, you will meet them, the gentle ones, the powerful ones, the strange, sacred shapes that have walked through human dreams for centuries. Not to frighten, but to remind that wonder is not lost, only waiting. Each creature you'll meet has its own rhythm, its own breath. Some carry wisdom, others warning, and some are simply beautiful. So, take a deep breath. Let the air settle into your lungs. Let the tension fall from your shoulders. Hey, there is nowhere else you need to be. Nothing else to chase. Only stories now. It's unfolding like petals in the dark. Close your eyes. Feel the quiet gather. And let your mind drift. You are safe here. You are welcome here. And everything you hear from now on, it's a dream remembering itself. Amarok, the silent hunter of the north, in the stillness of the Arctic night, where the stars shimmer like ice and breath hangs frozen in the air, a shadow moves across the snow. It leaves no trail, no howl, no warning. This is the Amarok, the lone wolf of Inuit legend. Unlike the wolves we know, the Amarok does not hunt in packs. It walks alone through snowdrifts and silent forests, always just at the edge of the firelight. Its fur is dark as the sky before a storm, and its eyes glow, not with malice, but with ancient memory. The Inuit tell stories not to frighten, but to remind that the Amarok hunts not the weak, but the arrogant, those who wander from camp out of pride, those who believe themselves untouchable in the face of nature's quiet power. There is no escape from it, but there is no cruelty in it either. It's only balance, a law older than language. One tale speaks of a young hunter who boasted he needed no one, not his elders, not his dogs, not even the spirits. He left the village alone, his breath hot with pride, his footsteps loud against the snow. The village waited. Days passed. Then, one morning, just before sunrise, the wind shifted. In the distance, a dark figure stood on the ridge. A wolf, massive and unmoving, staring down at the village. At its feet lay the hunter's broken spear. Nothing else. They say the Amarok brought it back, not as a threat, but as a lesson. Another story tells of a child lost in the snow, crying beneath the northern lights. The cold crept into her fingers, her lips. But then she felt warmth, a thick pelt brushing her side, a heavy presence blocking the wind. She fell asleep against it. When she awoke, she was at the edge of her village, alone. The snow around her undisturbed, except for a single paw print as large as her head. Some say the Amarok is a spirit, a shadow of nature's will. Others believe it is real, just rare, just careful, just smarter than we'll ever know. But all who hear its name know one thing: the night is not empty. It watches, remembers, and it walks softly in the places we forget to honor. Now, let the snow fall behind us, and the silence give way to the sound of waves and salt. For beneath the sea, another legend waits, sleek, strange, and noble. Let us drift toward the shimmering world of the hippocampus. Hippocampus, the sea's silent guardian beneath the surface of the sea, where sunlight breaks into ribbons and the currents whisper through forests of kelp. There swims a creature half forgotten and fully wondrous, the hippocampus, with the front half of a horse and the coiling tail of a great fish. The hippocampus glides through the water with impossible grace. Its mane flows like seaweed in the tide, and its scales glisten in hues of pearl, jade, and coral. It does not rush, does not fear. It moves as if the ocean itself makes way for it, with reverence. In ancient Greece, the hippocampus was sacred to Poseidon, the god of the sea. It was not a beast of war or destruction, but of balance, pulling the sea god's chariot across waves, its hooves skimming the water like wind on silk. But long before statues and scrolls, sailors told stories of strange shapes seen from the bows of their ships, of something beautiful just beneath the surface, keeping pace with them for miles, then vanishing into the depths. Some say the hippocampus protects lost travelers, guiding ships through storms when the stars disappear. Others believe it guards underwater ruins where corals grow like cathedrals and statues sleep beneath sand. There's a story of a fisherman humbled by years of quiet struggle, who once cast his net, still water, and pulled up nothing but a single silver scale that night. He dreamed of a glowing eye, kind and ancient, watching him from beneath the waves. When he awoke, the tide had shifted, and fish filled his nets for the first time in weeks. He never fished those waters again. He called them sacred. He said the ocean had spoken, and he had listened. The hippocampus does not speak in words. Its voice is the push of tide against reef, the song of whales heard faintly through leagues of salt water. It asks nothing. It gives nothing. It simply swims, always watching, and when it leaps from the waves, mane wild tail coiled beneath it like the arc of a question, the sea seems, for a moment, to pause, not in fear, in awe. Let us leave the ocean's embrace and step into warmer winds, into forests thick with vines, where spirits laugh and paths shift like dreams. The Tikbalang is waiting. Tikbalang, the trickster of the trees in the dense, tangled jungles of the Philippines, where the trees grow tall enough to blot out the sun and the paths twist even when you were sure they were straight. There is a rustle, a distant laugh, and then silence. You may have entered the territory of the tick-balling, tall and lanky, with the body of a man and the head and hooves of a horse. The tick-balong is a creature of mischief and mystery. Its eyes burn like coals in the shade, and it smiles. Yes, it smiles. It's as wide as a trick and twice as clever. In the folklore of the Philippines, the tick-balling is a spirit of the forest. It doesn't wish harm, but it does enjoy confusion. Travelers who don't ask permission before entering its domain often find themselves walking in circles, turning again and again to the same tree, the same clearing, the same puzzled thoughts. But there's a secret. If you wear your shirt inside out, the tick-balling cannot trick you. If you whisper a quiet greeting to the woods, it may even leave you be, because even tricksters, it seems, respect manners. One old tale speaks of a man who wandered too far from his village during a festival, chasing fireflies and the sound of distant flutes. He soon found himself lost, the same patch of mossy stone meeting him no matter which way he turned. Then came the laughter. Not cruel, just amused. He sat down beneath a tree, took off his shoes, and sang a lullaby his grandmother had taught him. The wind stilled, and when he looked up, the path was clear. He never forgot that laugh. Sometimes, late at night, he'd hear it again, just beyond the edge of the clearing, like an old friend waiting to play. The tick-balong reminds us that not all spirits are wicked. Some are just bored, lonely, or curious about the humans who take themselves so seriously. So, if you ever walk a jungle trail and feel like you're being watched, not hunted, just watched, smile. You might be walking in circles, or maybe you're exactly where you're meant to be. Now, as the leaves settle and the vines slip back into shadow, let us step into a forest touched by magic of another kind, where the air is thin, the moss glows silver, and a pair of antlers glides like a ghost through the fog. The white stag is near.
The white stag, herald of the hidden path in the quiet heart of the forest, where light filters down like liquid gold and time moves just a little slower, there walks a creature that is not hunted but followed. The white stag, its coat gleams like fresh snow, its antlers curve like branches sculpted by moonlight, and its eyes are older than the forest itself. The white stag is not a beast of flesh and blood, not entirely. It is a symbol, a sign, a guide for those who have lost their way, or those who never knew the path to begin with. In Celtic legend, the white stag appears at turning points. When the world is about to change, when a heart is ready to begin a journey it never meant to take, it does not speak, does not wait. It runs soundlessly, swiftly, and if you are wise, you follow. There is a tale of a knight who chased it deep into a wood where no path had ever been carved. His hunt took days. Out. through thorn and stream, through hunger and doubt, until finally, breathless and bruised, he came to a clearing and found not the stag, but a village that had been lost to time. And in that village he found not a trophy, but peace. He never returned to his castle, never spoke of the chase. But each morning at dawn he'd leave food at the edge of the woods, a gift, a thank you for a journey that had changed him. The white stag is never captured, never cornered. To try is to miss the point. Because the white stag isn't about the destination, it's about the decision to follow wonder, to trust the unknown, to believe that sometimes the path that finds you is better than the one you thought you needed. So if one day while walking beneath the trees, you glimpse a flash of white just beyond the ferns, don't call out, don't run, just breathe and walk. And know that something rare has chosen to lead you, somewhere true. Now let us leave the woods behind. Let the leaves fall quietly behind your footsteps. And look up to the clouds swirling like brushstrokes across the sky. Something enormous is moving, wings wide as valleys, eyes like suns. The rock approaches.
The rock, giant of the sky, high above deserts and islands where the earth blurs into horizon, where even mountains seem small beneath the clouds. There glides a creature so vast it blots out the sun. This is the rock, a bird of unimaginable size. The rock lives in legend and in the sky itself. Wings stretch wider than ships are long. Its talons are thick as tree trunks, capable of lifting elephants into the air like fish from a stream. When it flies, the wind changes, the air stills, and even the boldest falcons fall silent. In the tales of the Middle East and the Indian Ocean, sailors speak of islands that rise and move, only to discover there were never islands at all, just the rock, resting. The rock nests not in trees, but on mountain tops no man has climbed. Its feathers shimmer like bronze, edged in gold, and its cry, when it comes, is said to carry over oceans, haunting the dreams of those who hear it. There is a story told by the sea traders of old. A ship, once lost in fog, came upon what seemed a lush, empty island. The crew disembarked, lit fires, celebrated their fortune. But as the mist lifted, the ground began to move. Not quake, move. They looked up. A single eye, wide as a sail, opened above them. What they thought was land was a wing. And as the rock rose into the sky, the ship scattered like leaves in a storm. But not all stories end in fear. Some say the rock watches over the seas, protecting certain islands from invaders. Others believe it mourns, the last of its kind, circling endlessly through sky and memory, searching for something it lost long ago. No one who has truly seen it returns unchanged. Their eyes turn upward more often. Their dreams include shadows in the shape of wings. The rock is not meant to be understood, only witnessed, and sometimes that is enough. Now, let the winds come. Let the sky settle into dusk and follow us down, not just to the earth, but into the web of mystery. For deep in the forests of Japan, the Jorōgumo waits. Jorōgumo, the lady in the web in the forests of Japan, where lanterns flicker at the edge of the trees and the wind carries secrets through bamboo. There is a story whispered near fires, always with a glance over the shoulder. The tale of the Jorōgumo at first glance. She is beautiful. A woman in silk hair like flowing ink, eyes dark and endless. She may greet you on a misty path or invite you into a quiet tea house tucked between trees. But look again, and you'll see the shimmer of threads, the glint of fangs, the truth beneath the illusion. For the Jorōgumo is not just a woman. She is a spider spirit. Her name means binding bride or entangling woman. And she is known to lure travelers with her beauty and grace, only to trap them in her web, both real and metaphorical. But she is not merely a predator. Kia, she is patient, elegant. She waits, not in hunger, but in confidence. One story tells of a samurai who heard music in the forest, a shamisen, soft and sorrowful. He followed it to a glade lit by fireflies, where a woman sat alone, playing. Her voice was gentle, her face serene. They spoke, they laughed, and when he rose to leave, she touched his arm. He woke days later, wrapped in silk in the crook of a tree. The threads had loosened. She had let him go. Why? No one knows. Perhaps even monsters can feel mercy. Or perhaps Kai was not ready for the lesson she meant to teach. The Jorōgumo reminds us of the duality in all things, beauty and danger, charm and cunning. She is the fear of falling for what we do not understand, the lure of curiosity, okay, and the price of ignoring instinct. But not every encounter is fatal, okay? Some are simply warnings, okay? Some mirrors. So if you find yourself walking through twilight forests and a woman appears in your path, graceful, quiet, with eyes that see more than they should, offer a bow, say nothing foolish, and whatever you do, don't follow the music too far. Now, the forest grows darker. The stars above us shimmer in silence. And from the distant dunes, a different shape emerges. A mane like fire and a gaze like ice. The manticore approaches. Manticore, the beast of secrets, and stings across the windswept deserts where the sand swirls in endless spirals and the sun casts long shadows against stone. There is a creature whispered about in the oldest text, half truth, half nightmare. The manticore, it walks on lion's paws, its body powerful and graceful like a great cat, Its face, though unmistakably human, eyes sharp with thought, a mouth lined not with human teeth, but triple rows of razor-sharp fangs, and its tail, barbed, spined, poisoned, sometimes like a scorpion's, sometimes like arrows tipped with venom, fired with a flick of its tail. The manticore is said to speak in riddles, to sing in the voices of those it's devoured, to walk the boundary between what is beast, decay, and what remembers being more. In Persian legend, the manticore haunted the deep sands, feeding on travelers who wandered too far from their caravans. But it did not hunt for sport, it hunted for silence, for those who knew too much or dared to ask the wrong questions of the world. One scroll tells of a scribe who fled into the dunes after discovering a forbidden truth buried in the king's archive. At night, he heard whispers in his dreams, voices he recognized, all coming from a single mouth. On the seventh night, he stopped running, and in the distance, a lion-shaped shadow rose against the moon. The next day, all that remained were footprints leading to the horizon, and pages scattered in the sand, written in a language no one could read. The manticore is not chaos. It is not rage. It is order enforced with tooth and tail. It is the guardian of what should not be found, not because it is evil, but because it is unfinished. There are those who say the manticore does not kill everyone it meets. Some it lets go, marked forever by the encounter. Their dreams become strange, their thoughts more complex, and their silence deeper. The manticore teaches us that some knowledge is earned slowly, that curiosity is not a sin, but impatience might be. So, if you ever walk the sands and hear a voice call your name, your voice, not another's, turn back, speak no questions. Let the silence be enough. And now, as the stars wheel overhead and the desert stills into silver quiet, something softer arrives. Not all creatures bring warnings. Some bring calm, some walk on air and carry peace like a scent. Let us step gently and meet the Kirin. Kirin, the footsteps of peace in a land where mountains rise like dragons from mist, and rivers curve like calligraphy through ancient stone. A creature walks that leaves no mark, yet changes everything. This is the Kirin, neither horse nor deer, neither lion nor dragon, and somehow, all of them, the Kirin is a creature of harmony. Its body is cloaked in shimmering scales that catch light like water. Its mane flows upward, as if lifted by a gentle wind only it can feel, and its hooves never touch the ground. They float just above it, so that no blade of grass is ever bent beneath its step. In Chinese myth, the Kirin appears at the birth or death of a sage or great ruler, not as a messenger, but as a sign, a quiet witness to great transitions, a being not of war or power, but of justice, of compassion. It is said that when a Kirin appears, it means the world is in balance, or trying to be. There's a tale from a forgotten village where a drought had withered the fields and unrest simmered among the people. One evening, as the sky turned gold, a child claimed to see something in the fields. Not a god, not a beast, just presence. A shimmer moving through the grain, hooves that made no sound, eyes that saw too much and judged too little. The next day, clouds gathered. The rain fell, and no one argued in the village for a season. The Kirin does not speak, but in its silence there is deep language, the kind that trees understand. It fears no weapon, but it also causes no pain. Even predators lower their gaze as it passes, as if reminded of a truth they had forgotten. Some say that if you are truly pure of heart, you may see the Kirin not in dreams, but just as you wake, in that space between breath and thought, when the world is soft and unguarded. You'll never be able to describe it, but you'll never forget it either. The Kirin reminds us that gentleness is not weakness, that to step lightly is sometimes more powerful than to charge forward, okay? That peace, when it moves, can be just as awe-inspiring as a storm. And now, as its silhouette fades into cloud and blossom, we turn our eyes once more to the sky, not to the gentleness of a drift, but the fury of thunder. For, far above, wings beat like drums, and the heavens open. The Thunderbird is here. Thunderbird, the storm with wings above the mountains, where the clouds gather thick like wool and the wind sings in spirals. There flies a being born of thunder, cloaked in lightning. This is the Thunderbird. Its wings stretch wider than the horizon. Each beat shakes the sky, calling rain from the clouds and fire from the air. Its feathers flash with the color of storms, blue as midnight, silver as lightning, black as the heart of a downpour. The Thunderbird is sacred in many indigenous cultures of North America. Not a monster, not a threat, but a force, a guardian. Some believe it carries the storm on its back, that each clap of thunder is its cry, and each flash of lightning the blink of its eye. It lives atop the tallest peaks in realms where only the bravest birds dare follow. And when it descends, it does so not in silence, but in power. Yet, the Thunderbird is not cruel, strikes only when balance is broken, when injustice festers, the land is harmed without care. One story tells of a drought that lasted many summers, where the people's prayers rose into empty skies. Then, one night, a child, alone and without fear, climbed to the top of a sacred ridge and began to drum. Slow, steady, calm, and the clouds came, not with fury, but with music. A single shape soared above her, massive, glowing, silent, and rain began to fall. The thunderbird had heard and had answered. Its power is not just in wind or lightning, but in presence, in justice delivered with wings and roar, and vanishing just as quickly. It does not stay. It does not boast. But when the world needs reminding that the sky watches, it returns. Those who claim to have seen it never say much. They often go quiet, eyes turned upward, even on clear days, listening for a rumble that isn't thunder, but a heartbeat. The thunderbird teaches us that strength can protect, that power does not have to destroy to be known, and that sometimes the greatest forces are not those we control, but those that answer when called with truth. Now, let the thunder drift behind us. Let the skies clear, and follow us down to waters dark and still, to swamps that ripple without wind. There waits a creature of silence, of mystery, of deep time. The bunyip stirs. Bunyip, the echo beneath still water in the shadowy wetlands of Australia, where reeds sway even when no wind moves and frogs fall quiet for reasons they never explained. There is a stillness, a pause, a breath held by the earth itself. This is the domain of the bunyip. Its shape is uncertain. Some say it has the body of a seal, the tusks of a walrus, the eyes of a crocodile. Others describe it as massive, taller than a man, with shaggy fur soaked in brackish water and breath that smells of river weed and thyme. But no one agrees, 'cause the bunyip does not wish to be seen. It wishes only to be respected. K. In the legends of Aboriginal Australians. The bunyip is the spirit of the billabong, a guardian of sacred places, a keeper of balance between land and water. Not evil, not good, just aware. It punishes those who do not listen, who take too much, who forget the stories written in ripple and mud. There is an old tale of a settler who drained a swamp to plant wheat. He ignored the warnings of the local people, laughed at their silence. But the night after the first harvest, the water returned, not as rain, but as flood, and in it something moved. The land was quiet again the next morning, and the wheat gone. No one speaks the man's name now, but they still watch the water. Others say the bunyip only appears to the grieving, that when someone has lost too much and sits by the water in wordless sorrow, it will rise, not to frighten, but to bear witness, to listen. Its eyes, yellow and wide, its breath, slow, does not speak, and then it sinks again, leaving only stillness behind. The bunyip reminds us that not everything needs to be known, that not all questions are meant to be answered, that some mysteries are gifts, and trying to trap them turns reverence into regret. So if ever you find yourself at the edge of a quiet pool, Then the water moves without cause. Say nothing, leave no trace, tea, and walk gently away, because you were seen, and because the next visitor might not be so careful. Now, as the mist lifts and the water reflects the stars once more, we travel to the far desert, where flames dance without fuel and rebirth rises from ash. It is time to meet the phoenix. Phoenix, the flame that rises in a desert of endless silence, where the sands shimmer like gold at midday and cool like glass at night. A shape rises from the heat. It moves not with wings, but with light, not with force, but with memory. This is the phoenix, a bird of fire, but not destruction. Its feathers glow like embers, shifting from scarlet to gold to soft, pulsing orange. Its wings leave no trail of smoke, only warmth. And when it sings, the sky itself seems to pause. The phoenix is not born, not in the way we understand it. It appears in cycles, from flame, from death, from silence. When its time ends, it does not fear. It burns, bright and clean, until nothing remains but ash. And then, from the center of that stillness, it is reborn. Feathers first, then breath, then flight, again and again and again. In Egyptian myth, it is called Bennu, a symbol of the sun god's daily rise. In Greek stories, it is a traveler from Arabia, reborn every 500 years. In every version, it is not pain that fuels its fire, but grace. There is a story of a healer who wandered a great wasteland, searching for the end of grief. Her hands were cracked. Her voice was gone, but still, she walked. One morning, when the wind was soft and the world unbearably quiet, she saw a flicker just ahead. She thought it a mirage. It was not. The phoenix landed before her, folded its burning wings, and stared. No words, no offering, it's just presence. And then it bowed, and from the dust beneath its feet, flowers bloomed. Not many, but enough. When she returned to her people, her voice had returned. It was never loud, but it was steady. The phoenix is not a savior. It is not a god. It is a reminder that endings are not failures. It's that from loss, something gentle, something strong can rise. That sometimes what burns returns brighter. So if you feel broken, if you feel gone, remember the phoenix and let its fire live quietly in your chest. Now, let the heat fade, let the ashes cool, and return once more, not to fire, not to sorrow, but to stillness, to a soft-footed guardian, stepping once again into the quiet. The Kirin returns. Kirin, the circle closes, and so we return to the creature whose hooves never bruise the earth. Its breath stirs blossoms from stone, whose eyes reflect peace, not judgment. The Kirin, it steps once more into the dream, not because it was lost, but because you are ready to see it again. Now you know more. You've wandered with wolves beneath the auroras, floated beside sea spirits in green tides, followed riddles through tangled jungles, and stood beneath wings wide as nations. You've looked into eyes that remembered the beginning of time, submerged, quiet, softened, whole, and the Kirin sees this. It does not speak. It does not need to. It simply walks. Each step is a note in a lullaby you don't remember learning, but somehow know by heart. And as it passes, the world hums with stillness. The trees bow, not from wind, but from understanding. Even your breath slows to match its rhythm. You do not follow it this time. You walk beside it. And for a while, you travel like that. No destination, no words, just presence. Eventually, the Kirin turns, nods once, and steps into the fog. The dream dissolves, but the feeling remains. A warmth behind your ribs, a rhythm in your chest. A sense that something vast and kind has walked beside you, and may again. You are safe. You are home. And the myths, they are not gone. They are sleeping, waiting, just like you. Good night.